people have different books that have impacted their lives, different works that they go back to, and they can say this thing changed the way I felt or saw the world. The book that did that for me was by Epictetus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he was a Stoic and a smartass, and he wrote a book called The Enchiridion. And on the back of the book, he had a quote: "I must die, but must I die bawling?" I mean, and what that means to me is, death is coming, but do I have to cry about it? It's a good question. Should I cry about it? It's inevitable. It happens not just to me. It's not just like, oh, hey Zeph, you have to die, but everyone else gets to live. You dummy. That's not it. It is pretty much, once I fill out my mom, the clock started for when I'll be put into the ground or eaten by bears, which either one comes first. And it was the attitude of Epictetus that changed the way I felt about how life could be lived. In that he was a slave and he got his leg broken by his master, because I think his master was a jerk. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. But it was kind of like, that leg, it's a leg, and legs don't last forever, so that happened. I guess I have to figure out how to carry on without it. And it was, it's kind of a defiant attitude towards pain and suffering. Whereas normally, miserable things are a cause for us to react in a certain way. Pain and suffering causes us to be little puppets, where we might have a reaction of like avoiding or succumbing to some threat. And his whole attitude was like, oh, you said you want to chop my head off? Okay, well, who am I to say that this head was mine for me to keep? It was never in the contract of me being alive that I was supposed to keep this head forever. So, I mean, if you're going to chop it off, do it. Cool. But what you're not going to get from me is me begging you to not do it. This body, this mortal thing, this external thing, is going to be messed with by other external things. But what you can't do, you can never do, what you don't have control over, is my judgments and my attitude. So my attitude is like, cool, you're gonna do that? Alright, whatevs. And so basically I just covered the entire book with that little statement, so you don't have to read it. Congratulate me later. But yeah, his approach to all suffering is that. And the idea of death is a type of suffering. It's a frightening prospect of what happens when this ends. Whatever you believe, no, you don't know, because I didn't explain what I was thinking. I should explain that. We all have different beliefs, and a lot of people's, there are beliefs that there is a punishment reward system once we're done here, and that could bring a lot of anxiety over like, crap, like, have I been doing things right? Am I going to spend eternity, forever, how long eternity is, being punished for the mistakes I made while I was alive? The 80 years I was alive, will I spend eternity being punished for that? So that's a thought. That's a possibility. Then there's will I come back? Will I be reincarnated into another form based on the mistakes and things I made? And will I keep on doing that until I get my act together? And start washing poor people's feet or whatever thing you're supposed to do to be good. So that's pressure too, because you don't want to fail this test, right? No one wants to get a D on life's test. We're looking to get an A so we can get into a good afterlife college and have a good afterlife career. So that's something people think about. And then also, there's the whole idea of like, ooh, after this, there's nothing. And that's frightening too, because, nothing is scary sometimes. Because nothing means anything. It could be like a H.P. Lovecraft type thing with a giant Cthulhu, cosmic monsters, or just that void, late night, windows, curtains dark, and the room is silent. You just hear that like painful silence. Maybe that's what death is. Spooky. So those are things. So those ideas can cause pain. And I believe Epictetus would be like, all right, well, roger that. That's going to happen. I can't control that. So what I'm going to focus on is controlling my attitude. And my attitude is, I'm going to rock this. Whatever you throw at me, I'm going to be cool as a cucumber, not a pickle. Unless it's a refrigerated pickle. So, I say I meditate. I say I meditate because what I do, I believe there are some people who would say, like, that's not meditation, bro. You're doing it wrong. And I would say, like, who are you and why are you speaking to me? And please get out of my house. But it really doesn't matter, because when I do what I call meditation, I don't do it for anyone else except for the whole of the universe. But I don't do it for any kind of like monetary gain. I'm not doing it to impress someone or get anything from anyone. I'm not trying to sell them shoes or cars. Do it for my peace. And it's me just sitting there, and it changes daily, whatever I focus on. Is that meditation? I don't know. I try to be in a place that's silent, but sometimes I do it outside and it's not silent. I try to close my eyes, but sometimes I have my eyes open. But it's really, for me, it's not letting my mind be influenced by external input, the sensory data of the world. Is going to a place beyond this stuff in my head. And so that's why I close my eyes, and that's why I try to do it where it's quiet, like sitting in silence, sitting in stillness. And doing this, to me, it feels like a practice for death, or what death could possibly be. A place where once my body is dead, I don't think I'll be getting input of this world anymore, because my body is really just like a radio receiver, or a television screen where I'm picking up senses and data, like, oh, this is how my finger feels, this is how that book feels, oh, that's what that bird sounds like. But without my body, I won't be receiving that stuff. maybe I'll be dreaming it, because I can dream of things. You know, I could picture ice cubes right now, you know, on my head and syrup on my face, but it's not there, or is it? So, but it's not sensory data that's allowing me to perceive those things. It's my imagination. And maybe when I die, I just go into the land of imagination. And so meditating, or what I call meditation, sitting in stillness or silence, it allows me to go to that place of imagination where it's like I am perceiving things that aren't external anymore. And so for me, I feel like it's prepping me for death. And it's difficult sitting there for a amount of time because of the games my mind plays. My mind often will show me things or tell me things to get me to come out of sitting there. And I believe why is because the longer I learn to sit in stillness, the more I don't need my actual mind. That whatever I am, like the awareness, the observer of Zeph, the awareness of Zeph, that thing. The thing that's also the observer and aware of Zeph's mind doesn't need the mind to actually live. And sitting in silence, stillness, whatever, meditation shows me that. And my mind does not like that at all. No one likes being ignored. If you have something to say and people just turn their head or fall asleep or just like, oh, did you hear that? And just walk off in mid-sentence, you're like, this mother, it's not enjoyable to be disrespected that way, to be ignored. And for me to sit in quiet with my eyes closed, ears turned off, my brain focusing on whatever I want to focus on, it's basically the chattering of my mind. I'm ignoring it. And my mind's like, oh, really? This is what you're gonna do? Oh, okay. Did you remember that thing you did when you were 7? That thing, oh yeah, that thing you really don't like? Yeah, well, bring it up on the screen. Or, oh, remember that thing that you're afraid of? That thing that hasn't happened yet, but you've been like, losing sleep thinking about it happening? Let's bring it up on the screen. Let's times it by 10. Add some smoke, add some fire. It'll do all sorts of stuff like that. And it's just like it will try to lure me into this little hole. Sometimes out of fear, sometimes it's like, it'll entice me with some sugar, just have me go on some little thought thing. Whatever it may be. Oh, is there an ant crawling on your face? You better open your eyes and scratch your nose. It tries to break my focus. Because my focus is not on it anymore. My focus is not on the chattering of my mind. It wants to feel important. It wants to feel useful. And it has its uses. If I need to do a math problem, hey, holla at your boy, mind, whatever. I'll come to you. Or maybe I won't have a calculator. Oops. But there are uses for the mind for sure, for organizing things and plotting things. But what happens is, I can speak up on my own mind. It doesn't know when to shut up, and it just keeps chattering, and it wants to be like, "Hey, am I doing a good job? Am I useful?" So it'll create problems that don't even exist, just so I use it. It doesn't know how just to rest or go to sleep. It wants to keep on fetching. It's a dog that hasn't been trained, and it will crap all over the place and eat shoes and whatnot. Epictetus would be like, All right, I see that you're doing this over here. See that you're chattering, you're screaming a lot of things. Cool. I'm still gonna be here. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, that's cool, bro. Cool that you wanna yell, create distractions, whatever. I'm still gonna keep on doing this thing that I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna still keep on observing this path that I said I was gonna observe. And the mind doesn't like that. It will, it'll flare up like a scared cat, grow talons, dig them in your eyes, try to rip your mouth out, whatever. It will threaten you. The further... I can't speak about your mind. Sorry for putting that label on you. My mind, and maybe this relates to your mind. My mind will push harder, create more provocative scenarios, whether they be lustful or just frightening, to shake me out of my focus. Whatever it can, so I pay attention to it. Like a toddler being ignored by its parent, it will throw a tantrum. And that's what I see when I sit still. I see my mind throwing tantrums. And what I practice is ignoring those tantrums. My mind's not gonna die. I'm not gonna die by ignoring it. My heart will still beat. My lungs will still take in air. I'm not gonna starve. I'm not gonna drown. None of these things. BS. When death comes, it will come for me. And when it comes, whatever. Will I, take to it crying or bawling? And that's the practice for me. That's where I seek the answers in stillness, is finding that place where I'm not bullied by the sensations of the mind or the world. It's just finding middle ground, common ground. And do I succeed at that all the time? No, I don't. A lot of times I fail. But it's a practice. It's not a perfection. I don't perfection meditation, I practice it. And it might not even be meditation, it might be something else. And if you know a better term for it, you can let me know. Or you can keep that to yourself. Whatever. That was kind of rude of me. But yeah, if you'd like to share a better term for what I just described, start the conversation below or whatever. Yeah. As I pause, that's my mind trying to pull me away. But no one likes to be ignored. No thing likes to be ignored. Everything wants respect. Everything wants to be treated fairly. Even the mind. So, as I sit and ignore the chattering of the mind, I still respect it. Even though I may have talked about it kind of poorly on this. I still have respect for it. It's wanting to harmonize with it, to work with it. But what I won't work with is its BS and its nonsense. You can get that stuff out of here. I don't want any part of that. But the mind itself, you know what? I may not like your behavior, but I like you. I may not love your behavior, but I love you.